Hi everyone, Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and today Apple released iOS 26 Beta 2. Now, this update was released alongside iPadOS 26 Beta 2, macOS Tahoe 26 Beta 2, visionOS 26 Beta 2, watchOS 26 Beta 2, tvOS, and HomePodOS 26 Beta 2 as well. Now, I'm still not yet on the iOS 26 betas, and at this point, I'm not entirely sure whether or not I will install it, but I am currently on iOS 18.5. However, I'm going to talk about what's new in iOS 26 Beta 2. And the first change, I know a lot of people are going to love this. In iOS 26, it brought this new liquid glass design, and a lot of people did not like when you pull down the control center, you could still see some of your things. They liked that blurred effect. And I did make videos on how to sort of reduce some of that, even though I wasn't initially on the beta. You go to accessibility and display and text size and reduce transparency. And basically, when you would go into the control center, you'd basically get a background around your different things. Same can be said for app folders, although I typically don't like the way that looks, so I keep it turned off. Well, now in iOS 26, they have changed it. The wallpaper not only gets even more darker, but it also gets blurred as well, like it used to. Now, in iOS 18, it's a light kind of blur. However, in iOS 26, it's more of a darker kind of blur. And that also carries into notifications. Within iOS 26, if I go into light mode here, in iOS 18, you can see the notification, but you can't see through it. Well, in iOS 26, it's a little bit more blurred, but it's much more darker, and it has some of that liquid glass. It should be more easier to read, and they also carried that liquid glass to the quick action toggles. The toggles are now clear, basically, in iOS 26 Beta 2. But that was also a change in Beta 1. Now, this is by far, without a doubt, one of my favorite changes. I don't know if I could play it, as I can't play any of the ringtones. They might be copyrighted. But back in iOS 17, back in 2023, we got over 25 new ringtones and 11 new text tones in iOS 17. Well, in iOS 26, while the reflection ringtone is still here, they now have a new Reflection Alt Encore Remix, or Reflection 1 Encore Remix. It's a mouthful to say, but the name of the ringtone is called Reflection Alt 1 Encore Remix. That is the name of this new ringtone, and it sounds slightly different. Now, even if I had it, I don't think I'd be able to play it for copyright music. Although I probably could, although I'm not going to in this video. But we do have that new alt ringtone, or Reflection Alt Remix ringtone, in iOS 26. Also, there is a new music widget. If we go to add a widget here, now this won't show up for me here. That's a widget stack. We have a all-new live radio widget for Apple Music. This is new in iOS 26. Although this is not the widget, but if I go into it here, we have a brand new live radio widget. And this is new in iOS 26. Now within battery, if we go into battery here, they have updated it. This is what it looks like in iOS 18. And in iOS 26, a lot of the blue and green that was here for the last 10 days in this section, or last 24 hours here, has a blue and green. Well, in iOS 26, it was blue or green and brown, I believe. Well, now they brought some of that blue, they brought it back here in iOS 26 Beta 2. Now in Safari, you get some changes here. You can see sort of the tab bar here where you have your different options. I believe that might be the share button in your tab groups. They've now put those in the bottom. And also these Safari wallpapers, they showed up for other devices in iOS 18.2. But for whatever reason, these wallpapers were never working for me, and they're still not. This is the wallpaper that I had before. I would use this wallpaper quite often, and for the past couple of months, I've been using this one. But there were these new sort of mountainy wallpapers that were in Safari that was added back in iOS 18.2. But for whatever reason, many iOS versions later, they still never showed up. Also, within cellular data, I didn't mention this, I don't think I mentioned this before. With an Android, it should be more easier to transfer an eSIM from an Android to an iPhone. I believe it works probably putting the two devices close together. They made that update possible in iOS 26, and I believe it might be in One UI 8 if you own a Samsung device. Also within text size, Apple is bringing the larger text to Apple CarPlay. Let's see if we can find it under display and brightness. Apple is bringing the larger text to Apple CarPlay. Also, there is another update here. I don't think this is that update. Increased contrast also gets an update. It basically puts a button around your different toggles, whereas it did not before. And let me figure out how to get into it. I believe it's accessibility, display, and text size. And here we have increased contrast. You can see it made some of my options here lighter, and it put this gray effect around different things. And it doesn't put any buttons around different options. So I like that in iOS 26. It outlines things a lot more, whereas it never done that before. Also, there is another new update. The Test Flight app gets an update in iOS 26. And there's also a new recovery mode where you can recover your iPhone without having to use a Mac. Although I don't know much about that, and I don't even know if that will work when downgrading your iPhone from a beta. What would you back it up into? Maybe, hopefully, they would let you use an iPad. It would be nice if you can use an iPad to back your iPhone up into if they release a Finder app or the new Files app. It would be really nice if you can use Files to back up your iPhone to your iPad and restore it to factory default and then have a backup on your iPad rather than having to have a computer. It would be much easier if I needed to back up this device if I were to install a beta. So those are really mostly all of the changes in iOS 26 Beta 2. I'm still planning on upgrading my iPhone. If that happens, then I am going to install the public beta. And I did leave a community post on my YouTube channel. I am definitely planning on installing the public beta if that happens. However, if not, and I still end up keeping this as my main device, then I won't be installing the public beta. Instead, I'll be waiting until September. Although I'll still make videos with screenshots and pictures of the update so you guys could know what's in it. But I would like to install the beta so I can tell you what I think of the update using it in person. I'm just not risking to put that on my main device. So if I'm able to upgrade and keep this iPhone at the same time, you guys will see the beta installed on this iPhone 12. And I may even do a live stream where I might install it live. But that might be more what I might do in September for the iOS 26 What's New video, as this will be my first time covering a major iOS update with a YouTube channel. As when iOS 18 came out, I didn't really have a YouTube channel right then and there. I started my channel 2 months after iOS 18 launched. So once iOS 26 releases to the public in September, what I'm probably going to do is record a 20-minute to 30-minute video going over as many features that I'm able to go over. Then I'm going to do a live stream later that day and cover as many features as I can. That live stream probably going to be an hour long, and I'm going to cover every feature that is in iOS 26. So if I don't make a full 1 hour What's New video, you will get a live stream with more new features in iOS 26. So either way, you guys will get a video. Even if it's multiple videos, I will keep you guys up to date with the latest software and also keep you guys up to date with the iPhone 17s when they come out in about 3 months. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow me on TikTok. My name is Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.